Hey, did you skip this patch's DPS unit? Oh well, good luck clearing Memory of Chaos next cycle, loser. Oh, you wanted to wait for a character you actually like instead of pulling meta picks? That's stupid and greedy. Maybe you should start pulling with your brain instead of your PP. Oh, but if you pull, enjoy doing 50% less damage in the very near future, loser. People love making fun of Genshin Impact because we can literally fly in Wuthering waves while they are stuck gliding at 2 miles per hour.
Will the gliding be faster?
But oddly enough, nobody ever clowns 𝗖𝗆𝗆𝗿𝗆 for not even having a jump button. And trust me, that game has plenty of problems, but today we're locking in on one: power creep. There has been drama among the content creator space, or should I say a discussion happening, and it's basically starting from Mr. 𝗏𝗆𝗆𝗆 posting this tweet. HSR has a power creep problem only if you allow it to happen, either by greed or stupidity. Change my mind.
You are all basically at like 10 HP, and I am the Yasuo about to cast
Now, if you don't know, I am not the biggest Star Rail fan. The biggest fan probably goes to Tectoad. But anyways, my dislike towards the game is actually because of this exact issue. Power creep isn't something players allow to happen. It's something that happens to them. Like my uncle on summer break, power creep is literally forced onto me. So the idea that it's entirely on the player for falling victim to power creep is insane. Oh, but hold on. The Glue himself actually referenced this tweet by saying Mr. 𝗏𝗆𝗆𝗆 borderline made an EO take, which means he's right. He's just expressed it poorly. Mr. 𝗏𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆 called y'all dogs.
Just put the fries in the bag, Tails.
Now, considering everything that has happened, it's safe to say that if EO agrees with your take, you better take a look at where you're standing, because you're on the wrong side. Just like Mr. 𝗏𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆 over here. Now, absolutely demonstrably, this guy is getting obliterated in the replies and the quote retweets because of this insane take. And deservedly so, because the moment you start blaming the players for a problem that's fundamentally baked into the game systems,
then I feel like you've lost the plot.
Content creators and players alike have been pointing out the cracks in 𝗏𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆's design for months now. And this tweet was just the spark that set off the fireworks in the new year. You've got people like
So let's get to number 3.
Box 2.
Box 2.
What?
explaining how smarter polls can only mitigate, not eliminate, the impact of power creep. Now, out of everyone here, if the jumping cardboard box PNG starts making sense, there is something seriously wrong with the situation. Power creep isn't a problem you can avoid, it's a problem you have to endure, because when you strip it down, just like your mother last night, this isn't just a numbers game. This isn't just about damage percentages and team rotations, it's about how it feels to play the game, and that's where the real damage happens. But what if I tell you in Wuthering Waves, you don't have to worry about power creep at all? In fact, let me say this, Wuthering Waves has a power creep problem only if you allow it to happen. Let me explain. Alright, let's kick things off by talking about Wuthering Waves' character design. The glue in the system that makes power creep almost irrelevant here. Here's the genius of the character balancing in WUA. Every character is built with specific damage type and role, and they're balanced using something called damage percent multipliers. Sounds nerdy, I know. Hey, what can I say? I'm an Eastern CC. But it's a big deal, okay? This system doesn't just slap numbers onto attacks, it categorizes every move in a character's kit and assigns a unique multiplier to each of them. Basically, the devs have made it so that every character is a specialist, excelling in a particular niche. For example, take Camellia, who's basically the queen of basic attacks. For her to be power crap, Kuro Games would have to release another Havoc-wielding basic attack specialist who is also stronger across the board. But let's not forget, Wuthering Waves has 6 attributes and 4 damage types, so there's no room for lazy overlaps. They would need to release 24 different characters before even coming close to doubling up on her niche, and considering how slow and steady Kuro is with the character releases, that's probably not gonna happen. And what better time than now to talk about the new Nightmare Echoes, a new set of Echoes Kuro released that didn't just buff a few new characters, but the entire roster, including the standard and older units. It's the kind of addition that makes every character feels like they're still part of the meta, even months down the line. Rather than funneling players towards shiny new units, Kuro ensures that the whole roster remains viable, rewarding players for their previous investments and adding a layer of synergy to team building. And this balance doesn't just stop at individual characters, it's baked into the team building too. Every stat and every ability feels deliberately designed to play off each other, encouraging creative, unorthodox team comps that still work. Do you want to experiment with builds? Go wild! You're not punished for trying new combos because the balance system makes everyone feel like they have a purpose. Wuthering Waves doesn't just design characters, they future-proof them with a system that rewards synergy, creativity, and specialization. Now let's contrast this with Genshin Impact, where all it takes to overshadow an existing Pyro DPS is releasing another Pyro DPS with better scaling or a flashier kit. It's one size fits all, and it reduces characters to numbers. No niche, no specialization. The old characters become bench warmers, not because they lack potential, but because the design philosophy encourages obsolescence. Meanwhile, in Wuthering Waves, it's an entirely different game. It keeps every character unique and viable, preventing overlap and ensuring they hold their value in diverse team comps. This is the difference between designing for lasting value and creating for short-term turnover. In Wuthering Waves, characters aren't just units to replace, they are tools to expand your playstyle, synergize with others, and remain relevant for months and even years to come. They don't ask, do you have their latest 5-star? But rather, can you adapt to the challenge? Now, content scaling is one of the biggest reasons why Wuthering Waves stands out in the gacha space. Instead of forcing you to pull for some must-have characters to clear endgame content, Wuthering Waves puts the focus on skill, strategy, and timing. This means you're not just sitting there wondering if your roster is good enough, you're asking yourself if you are good enough. Whenever Kuro drops a new enemy or boss, they don't slap on some ridiculous requirements like bring this specific 5-star or go cry in a corner like 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗵𝘁 does. No siree. Instead, these enemies are built to challenge your game knowledge, your ability to dodge attacks, time your parries, learn rotation, and manage your team efficiently. It's not just about raw damage numbers, it's about game knowledge. For example, breaking the stagger bar before the fallacy of no return 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗵𝘁 mode, or managing AoE attacks that punish you if you're not paying attention. The point is, every encounter is a test of your understanding of the game systems, not a test of whether you've swiped your credit card or for the latest OP unit. Now let's contrast that with 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗵𝘁. In HSR, the approach to endgame content can feel less creative. They often resort to inflating the enemy HP to astronomical levels, which makes fights drag on forever unless you have the latest, shiniest 5-star units. Some fights are so blatantly tuned around specific characters that you're left feeling like you're solving a puzzle with missing pieces if you didn't pull them. And of course, that might work in a turn-based system like HSRs, where your options are more limited, but it highlights just how different Wuthering Waves is. Kuro doesn't need to rely on cheap tricks like bloated stats to keep you engaged. The kicker is that this design philosophy helps Wuthering Waves dodge the power creep trap entirely by focusing on skill-based progression and making every enemy defeatable with a well-thought-out strategy. They ensure that old characters never lose their value. You don't have to keep chasing the meta, you just gotta keep improving your game. Wuthering Waves says get good, not get the new character. It's a game that rewards strategy, timing, and knowledge while giving you the chance to flex your skills with your favorite characters. No inflated HP bars, no mandatory pulls, just pure, unfiltered gaming satisfaction. Unless if you suck like Captain Cabinets. Now let's talk about the gacha rates and the resources, because Wuthering Waves has cracked the code on making players feel blessed instead of stressed. You know how in most gacha games, pulling for a limited character or weapon feels like you're sitting in a cuck chair in the corner of the hotel room? Yeah, well, Kuro Games said, alright, hold my gamer subs. Now this is the part where the content creators reacting to this video would casually plug their gamer subs code. First off, the weapon banner. Let me tell you, it's an absolute W. Why? Because it's guaranteed. If you hit that 5-star pity on the weapon banner, you are walking away with the featured weapon. None of that, oops, here's 𝗖𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗵𝘁's light cone. Now compare that to other games where the weapon banner is a bottomless pit of despair, and you'll see why Wuthering Waves feels like a breath of fresh air. I mean, we've all seen what happens to that bald man while he's pulling for the homeless shovel, and we all know how that went.
Hold up. Please. Fuck my ass, dude!
Now let's hit the character banners. Sure, they use the classic 50-50 mechanic, but here's the twist. You're guaranteed a 5-star every patch. That's amazing. Plus, the frequent reruns means that skipping a banner isn't the end of the world. Didn't snack Carlotta or Rachia this time? Chill. Kuro's got your back, and they'll be back sooner than you think. Way sooner than your dad ever did. And can we talk about how Kuro is like the generosity goat of gacha devs? Events in Wuthering Waves are absolute gold mines. Free pulls, upgrade materials, a whole dang 5-star 5-star given for fun. Yeah, back in 1.2, if you've forgotten, they literally handed out a limited 5-star character, and he is still top tier meta. That's not just good, that is absolutely insane. But it's not just what they give, it's about how easy it is to build your characters. The game showers you with resources, upgrade materials, leveling items, and even gacha currency through events and dailies. Unless you're min-maxing crit rolls, you are never stuck in that classic gacha grind where you're begging for scraps just to ascend your team. And because characters aren't power crept into oblivion, everything you invested into those rosters stays valuable for the long haul. Now let's give a bombastic side eye for the competition for a second. Take Honkai Star Rail for example. Over there, you're not even guaranteed to get a single 5-star per patch if your luck is bad. By contrast, Wuthering Waves makes you feel like you're actually rewarded for your time and effort, and that's a massive W for player satisfaction. Whether you're a free-to-play grinder or someone who loves to spend a little or a lot, Wuthering Waves gives you the tools to thrive. The gacha rates are forgiving, the resources are abundant, and the devs actually seem to care about making you feel like you're winning. It's not just about pulling characters, it's about building them, playing them, and knowing that your investment is here to stay. Wuthering Waves doesn't feel like it's just a gacha game, it's a gacha dream. Generous events, guaranteed rewards, and devs who don't gatekeep fun. What more could you ask for? And I think this isn't just some random stroke of luck, it's a direct result of Kuro's unparalleled communication and responsiveness. Again, Wuthering Waves isn't just a gacha game, it's a gacha dream. From balanced character designs to player-first dev communication, this game shows that you don't need to inflate numbers or gatekeep content to stay relevant. While other games are out here handing you calculators to figure out which new unit can survive the HP bloat Olympics, Wuthering Waves proves that strategy, skill, and generosity can lead the charge unless you're Captain Cabinets.